Hello friends, hello, welcome back to our little coffee club. I want to first start by saying that this is the very first video that I record since I was on Hoon's live, and I just wanted to say thank you to Hoon for having me on. It was great. It was a pleasure meeting him, and I do also have to thank him for some of the new subscribers. A lot of you guys have come over from his channel and have joined us here in our little coffee club. I really appreciate it.
Okay, let me pause for a second. I wanted to thank a couple of members here of our little coffee club in the beginning of the video. I didn't remember to record this segment until the end, but I still wanted to mention this in the beginning of the video. The following clip was recorded out of sequence, but here it is.
I wanted to mention something. I just recorded the end of the video, but I want to include this little clip in the beginning of the video because I wanted to say hello to one of the new subscribers, New Forest Explorer. He left me a comment in regards to my 8 minutes of grinding time on my hand grinder for the Turkish coffee, the previous video to this one. Now, by the time you guys see this video, he left me that comment a few weeks ago. Okay, because again, I've explained it before, but I always have to be working on several videos in order to stay consistent with a new video every Sunday because of my limited amount of time that I have to make the videos. So I have to have like a couple of videos recorded and maybe 2 or 3 videos that I'm kind of editing and putting together. I have to add the music and then I have to post them and all that stuff. So in order to stay consistent, I have to always have some videos in the pipeline, and 4 or 5 videos have probably been posted since I spoke to Hoon, and when I received the new, quite a few new subscribers. I wanted to say that thank you to New Forest Explorer for leaving me the comment in regards to my grinding time on the manual grinder. It took me 8 minutes to grind 10 grams for the Turkish coffee. He says that he usually grinds at 15, maybe 15 to 20 clicks, I think is what he said. And, I ground it at 10 clicks. And it was just off of, when you stop hearing that chirping. And it took me 8 minutes to grind the 10 grams. And he said that that's reasonable for Turkish. Well, if that's reasonable for Turkish, somebody else mentioned, I don't think it was him, I think somebody else mentioned, to try the niche. That's what we're gonna do. Next time we make Turkish, we're going with the niche for sure. I'm not trying to grind for 8 minutes again. But I did want to include that in the beginning of the video. I don't know how this is gonna work. I don't know how this little clip, I'm gonna insert it into the video, but it's gonna be kind of weird probably. But in a few minutes, you guys will see what happened with this.
Before we get back to the video, I also wanted to say hello to WatchTech T. Thank you, my friend, for all the nice comments. I am listening and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And now back to our regular scheduled programming.
Guys, we're trying to really make it to at least 1,000 subscribers, which it seems like impossible, but we'll see. We keep kind of pecking at it little by little every time we get a few new ones. And we'll see if it ever happens. We'll see if it ever happens so that maybe every now and then we can do some live videos. My end goal here would be, I think it would be really great if I could do like at least 1 live per week, and then my regular edited video on Sundays, I'll keep that pretty much probably the same. It just lets me make a little bit more intricate kind of videos that I don't think I think for me it would be a bit challenging, let's just say. So yeah, you guys heard the espresso machine back there just finished warming up. So now it's ready to go. And yeah, we're gonna be doing some brewing in a minute. I do want to report back on a couple of things before we get going. Oh, and first of all, I already said hello to all the new people that have joined us here, and everyone else as well. Carrie, Joan, John, Israel, Andrew. I'm getting to know some of the names. The more I see them down in the comments, obviously, the better I can memorize them. But people like Carrie that always leave me messages, I really appreciate you, Carrie. Thank you for doing that every Sunday. I look forward to it. By the way, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about that September coffee you just ordered. Of course, it's one of the ones I have on my wish list. So soon enough, we'll order from them. I am ready to order some light roast. As far as dark roast, not quite yet. That Lavazza really kept me busy for a little while. And now I have the new ones from Good Brothers that I'm trying to go through. But you know, they are getting used. We had some visitors this weekend, and we pulled a bunch of shots yesterday. And you know, I learned a few things from the shots I pulled. Okay, I learned a few things. You guys know I don't like wasting, but since I had guests over and everyone was enjoying the coffee, then it allows me to kind of split the shots, so I get to taste you know, some of what I'm making, but I get to share it with everyone. But it allows me to pull many shots at the same time, so I can experiment. So it was pretty cool. I pulled like 10 to 12 shots, something like that. So I did a little experimentation, and I gotta tell you guys one thing that I learned. You know, I did get a few comments about like, why are you doing this layer shot? Why are you brewing the coffee for so long, like a minute long shot? And I learned something, because I did try these two coffees, are lighter roast, they're like medium to lights. And one thing I learned is that, you know, I have to say by now, I can easily see that that is my preference. When I'm dealing with a lighter roast, okay, I definitely like to get rid of some of the acidity. I don't like so much acidity. I want to balance the shot to where it has a good amount of sweetness to offset all of that acidity. As a matter of fact, I brew them at around 35 to even 45 seconds. I'm talking about the lighter roast. And to me, it tasted completely under extracted. It was sour, and not just acidity. It was just straight sour. So I know that that's under extracted. Now, being that I'm brewing everything at the same temperature, maybe that might have some that we can look into as far as like maybe playing with the temperature. That led me to the next point, okay? I also brewed some shots of dark roast, okay? Like the Neapolitan, which I kept getting some bitterness. And I experimented with changing the temperature to a lower temperature. And by doing that, now one thing is for sure, on the darker roast, okay, something like the Neapolitan or any dark roast, okay, you definitely don't want to brew it as long as the lighter roast. And especially don't do a Slayer shot. It's just a no-go, okay? It's a no-go. It doesn't work. A Slayer shot with all that long blooming time, okay? And it doesn't have to be a Slayer shot. You call it a blooming espresso, call it a long pre-infusion, call it whatever you may, okay? But that long pre-infusion phase of the shot is gonna easily over-extract the coffee, and then you're gonna get bitterness, okay? So not only do you have to brew the coffee a lot faster when it's dark, you also might want to play with the temperature and bring the temperature down, as I did, because I was already, I mean, if you guys saw in the last like video, I don't remember if it was the last one or like a couple videos back, you know, I sped this thing up all the way to like a 30 seconds, 25-second shots, and it still had a little hint of bitterness, okay? So I don't want to go any faster than that. I think you should be able to get a good shot at 20 to 30 seconds. I mean, 20 seconds, that's a very fast shot, okay? If you still can't get rid of that bitterness, then you gotta experiment with something else. So what I did is I brought the grind size down from 15.5 to 14.5, okay? And I was getting around 35 seconds, somewhere around there, but at a lower temperature. And that seemed to fix the shot. And now the little bit of bitterness is pretty much gone. It's well balanced. You got the sweetness, and obviously on these darker roasts, you're not gonna get a lot of acidity, but you know, but you do have the sweetness of the coffee. And to me, that's the balance that I like to have as far as a dark roast. I want it sweet. I don't want any bitterness. And now some dark roast, if it's not too dark, you could actually get a little hint of that acidity, and then it's wonderful. It's great. So yeah, that's one thing I've learned. I've learned that if the coffee is medium to lighter roast coffees, I definitely, that long pre-infusion phase, that definitely works for me. It works. And the extraction at 9 bar, I would say at least like 30 to even 45 seconds. And the total shot time, I'm talking about a minute to even a minute 15 seconds, something like that. The shot to me tastes great. It's sweet. By then it still has acidity. Okay, it still has acidity for sure, but definitely that sourness part of it and like very high acidity, that's gone. And that's where I find the balance that I enjoy. I know it's not for everyone, but that's where I'm at. And that's something that I was really able to like really notice this weekend because I pulled shot after shot after shot. I did the light roast, I did the dark roast, and it's just something that I found interesting. I thought, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty easy to tell by now that when it's a lighter roast, I like the long extraction, and I like to get rid of a lot of that acidity and exchange it for some sweetness, and then I get that nice balance that I enjoy. When it's a dark roast, definitely totally different story. You want to ramp up to your 9 bars or 8 bars. As a matter of fact, most of the time you're grinding so coarse that you won't even build 9 bars. It'll be like an 8-bar shot, something like that. Maybe that's what Carrie meant when she was telling me that most of the time she's around 8 bars. So, but anyway, yeah, that's my take on these coffees and what I've learned as far as that up until this point. Now, I have the scales up here because, again, I pulled like 10 to 12 shots all in a row. This thing never glitched. It still hasn't glitched. By now, I'm ready to call it. Okay, I'm ready to call. I said it was too early to call before, but by now, it's pretty evident that the Akaya just works better. It does. And it saddens me to say that because I really like my Timer. I'm still going to keep using it. I enjoy this little scale. I think it's sold at an extremely fair price, and it's excellent. Water resistant. The battery lasts forever, rechargeable. And I even like the way it looks. I like it better. I mean, honestly, I like this one better. So, but there's something to say about that Akaya. Definitely, it just works perfect. Up until now, it works perfect. I'm ready to call it. So now, the purpose of today's video, okay, is gonna be more inclined as to the tools, okay? I was a little unclear last time because I seem to have gotten a little bit of channeling. I couldn't see it. It was very small. It must have been just like I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I couldn't see it. I couldn't tell from which one of the tools did I get the channeling. I'm gonna try to revisit that today. We're gonna use both to see if it makes any difference. I really don't think so. I think you can get an excellent shot with either one. There are plus and minuses to both up until now. Maybe if you can get these thin needles in like a longer length, I might like that more. Definitely the way it feels, these feel better. When you're doing the distribution, the thin needles, they feel better. I've been a little harsh on Pesado. Come on, Pesado. I've been a little bit hard on them. I keep saying it, they're beautiful, but they work. They work. Not only that, but this tool has, and again, I kind of freaked out on that first video, okay? It's not 100 times the price. This thing I think it's $44 if you just buy the one tool, which is, as far as coffee tools, it's kind of reasonable. It's hard. I know. That's pretty crazy, but that is kind of reasonable for this thing. It has the system that you can you can open it up and change the needles. So they will sell you just the needles. So if you need needles, they'll sell you just the needles. You don't have to rebuy the tool. You can change them. And it has some advantages and it's beautiful. So, sorry, Pesado, I take some of that back. But still, look at how sad and lonely he looks there. Just make the stand. Look, I'll buy it. Just make the stand. Make a beautiful stand to go with this. I'll buy it. Anyway, let's get to the other counter and let's pull some shots. All right, so first things first. As far as this little process here of playing around with what I believe Lelit calls the LCC or Lelit Control Center, I believe. There's not a lot of videos like showing you how to adjust settings and do a lot of things. And I'm a little bit confused on it myself. So hopefully I'm doing this properly. But okay, you get into the settings by just hitting the minus. When you hit the minus, you get the very first menu. If you don't touch anything again, whatever changes you've made, they get locked in, and then pretty much, you're using your new settings. If you want to toggle through settings, you have to keep pressing the minus. So you press in, you're in the first one, you go again, okay? And every time you're toggling through the different menus. To get into any particular menu, you hit the plus button. Hitting the plus button will get you into that menu. And then if you keep hitting plus, it will go up on whatever setting it is you're on. And if you then go and hit the minus, then it'll go down to whatever menu it is you're on, and it'll lower that setting. So again, let's press the minus.
The very first one says pre-infusion time on. So I guess it's to adjust that. When that's not what we're playing with today. Low flow start, low flow final, brew temp offset. I'm not exactly what the difference is between the brew temp offset and just the regular temperature. Okay, so one thing I would love to know is exactly when do you use that brew temp offset? Okay, so I think it's probably, I don't know how that would work, but if you go in here and this is your regular temperature, your brewing temperature or your boiler temperature, I imagine. So we'll bring that down to like 87. It comes set at 95 from the factory. So let's lower it to 87, okay, and then we're gonna brew there. Now the offset, let's bring that one down too, but I don't know exactly what the difference is between the two. So you see now it's locked in on 87, okay? So we get back in here, we keep hitting the minus, okay, brew temp offset. You hit the plus, and then now it starts blinking, now you can adjust it. So let's bring that down. We brought it down by what, like 8 degrees? I'm gonna also put it down by 8. So, okay, now we're down by 8 on that one. Okay, so, all right, let's try this. Again, I have the brew temp offset down by 8 degrees. I think this one is the boiler temperature, okay? And that's set now to minus 8 degrees from the setting that you get from the factory, which again is 95. So what I noticed this weekend is that by doing this process, I was able to get rid of that little bit of bitterness on these darker roasts. And again, the liquid amber, I don't know if it always comes a little bit lighter than Neapolitan, but this time for sure, the 2 bags you guys saw in the previous video, that the Neapolitan was definitely darker, okay? And the liquid amber it was pretty much balanced. That one, if it had any sort of kind of bitterness, it was so far in the background that it didn't matter at that point, at least to me. But the Neapolitan, it was still noticeable, and I wanted to get rid of it. And by doing this process this weekend, I pretty much got rid of that. And hopefully this helps someone out there a little bit as to setting these temperatures. Now, the only thing I don't know is that I know if all you do is change the brew temp offset, then this will still say 95. Okay, so I imagine that when you're pulling the shot, the temperature is going to try to somehow drop to whatever you put the offset at, but I don't see how that gets done. I don't understand that. So I just go ahead, change both, and play it safe. And that definitely fixed my little bit of bitterness problem. So now the only other thing we want to play with today is just to, try the 2 different tools and see about the channeling, see if we get more with one or with the other. So let's do some puck prep. All right, I know that was a little bit of a rant there, but hopefully that's going to help someone. Okay, let's dose out our first 18 grams. Okay, scales at 0. Of course, guys, on this channel, welcome again, all of you, the new subscribers, welcome. But on this channel, one of the things is we always check retention. I try to always remember and not mess it up. I mess it up every now and then, but I always try to check retention because I know that a lot of people find it like the best part of the video and like very interesting to see if there was retention. So let's see, let's do our 18 grams. Okay, we're really close. Okay, it's reading 18 grams. Let's see what we get from the niche today. Oh, so remember, when I try to speed this thing up, I sped it up as much as I was willing to try, okay? And I was at 15.5. So now we're at 14.5, and we're gonna see if we get something around 30 to 30. I'll be happy with something like 30 to 35 seconds. Definitely no kind of long blooming, just kind of ramp up slow to the 9 bars. And usually, like I said, you won't get to 9 bars. You'll end up at 8, 8.5, and every now and then, depending, it might get to 9, but but that's about it. You can hear a couple of beans still fighting in there. That's why you see, you heard it as it crunched it there at the end. That's why I always like to restart it. So that you can get in case you have a bean still going around in there that hasn't fallen through. Hopefully that fixes the problem. All right, let's see if we got our 18 grams. All right, so you guys see it there, 18 grams on the spot. 18 in, 18 out. The niche was perfect today. That's not always the case, but it didn't let us down today. I'm still working on getting some kind of tamping station for the bottomless portafilter. You kind of need that because it's hard to hold it level, so you kind of have to bring it to the edge, and that's how you can make it happen. So I am looking for some kind of tamping station. I just haven't found the perfect one. Soon I'll find something. One thing you cannot do, you guys know I've been trying to do that WDT in the cup before even putting it into the portafilter, and you can't really do that with the short needles. That's one of the downsides. Actually, that's like the only downside. There's no other downside. That is the only one. You can't really do any WDT in here. You can't reach the bottom. Besides, I'm one of the few people that does that. Nobody does that out there. I think it's just me. I think it helps, when you first put the coffee in, that it's already declumped. Why not? And it's quick and easy. Okay, so that's why when I have to bring it over to the edge here. Also, it's the same basket in there, but for some reason it seems to be a little bit, the coffee does that all the time. With the spouted, it's usually like flatter in there. I do a better job. Okay, put our funnel in there. Okay, we'll pull this shot with the thin needles and see what happens. As far as WDT, just start at the bottom, making circles coming up as you do it. Take your time. Making coffee is somewhat therapeutic. It's a good way to start your morning. And this whole process, it's fun. It's fun, and it gives you a chance to get your day started right, and you could think about your next shot. And I don't know. I think it's really cool. Hopefully, you guys are joining me with something tasty of your own. And my goal here is just to kind of keep you guys company for a little while and hang out with you guys. Maybe you get a laugh or two. Maybe you pick up something new here and there. And I learn from you guys. The interaction between us is what makes it worth it to me. I've said it time and time again that, filming myself making coffee every weekend is like, what's the point? It's just the fact that you guys are enjoying it, leaving me comments, and we sharing something back and forth. That's kind of what makes it worth it and makes it fun for me. Okay, let's do some tamping. And I already called it. This tamper is definitely, for me, a lot better than the other one. There's no doubt about it. I don't know about the WDT tool, but this one for me just works a lot better. It's pretty much perfectly level every time when I do it. I always check anyway. I use my 4 points like this to kind of feel around, because sometimes by sight, it's hard to see if it's level or not. But when you feel like this and you see that the two edges are pretty much flush everywhere, you tamped it right. Okay, so let's get the puck screen in there. And let's pull up first shot. Okay, I think I got all the cameras running here. I got everything set up. Let's get the scale up here. Again, that Akai has been flawless. I don't like the distance between the bottom of the portafilter and the cup, but it's the only way that I can kind of film this and not block any of the angles. So we're gonna roll with it.
Hopefully if we get some channeling, it won't be too bad and I'll have to clean up a mess, but here we go. Here we go, guys. Again, we're gonna start around at 5 o'clock. That seems to work for me. And then what I do is as soon as the pressure starts coming on, I close it and then I ramp it up slowly. And again, we're shooting between 25 and 35 seconds here. I'll be happy with that. 30 seconds maybe would be ideal. We'll see with a slow ramp up. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm letting it ramp up slow. All right, looks like we might get to 9 bars today. Yes, we are. Okay, we're shooting for 45 grams. 45 grams in maybe 30 seconds. All right, so guys, I'm not sure why I got such a slow shot. It was 35 seconds from first drip, that's okay. But if you see that before the coffee started coming out, we already had like 13 seconds. So, you know, I would have liked to have been a little bit faster. But, you know, in fairness, you know, I don't notice any kind of, how do you call it, any kind of channeling. I'm sure there was maybe a little bit, we'll see when I have a chance to look at all the angles and see what happened. Anyway, this was with the thin needles. We'll see. As far as flavor, let me give it a quick taste test. I'll let you guys know. Let me swirl it a little bit. Wow, this is wonderful, perfectly balanced. This is what I'm looking for, you know. Yes, it was a little bit long. I would have liked to have knocked off maybe 5 seconds, but you know, overall, it's a great tasting shot. Definitely changing the temperature, it helps. It helps a whole bunch because this coffee kept having quite, well, you know, the faster shots, the ones that I brewed like in 20 seconds, those had very little bitterness, but it still had some. And right here, you know, we're perfectly balanced. This is what I'm looking for. Wow, okay, that's wonderful. Let's try with the other needles and see if we see any difference. Let's do some more dosing and puck prep and all that good stuff, and we'll pull a second shot. All right, so obviously one thing that I would maybe consider doing today, if I wasn't doing the comparison, would be maybe adjusting my grind size to just a tiny little bit coarser in order to maybe get those 5 seconds that I'm looking for. But just, you know, to keep it fair, I will keep the same exact grind size, do the same process, just use the different needles and see if we see any difference in the extraction. Obviously, from my point of view, you know, I couldn't see anything, but now as I was setting everything up for the next shot, I did notice a tiny little bit of little spots of coffee here and there. So there was a possibility of maybe a little bit of channeling somewhere that I might be able to see it when I look at the video back. Maybe you guys saw it. Comment below. But right now, from my point of view, it looked pretty darn close to perfect, and the taste of the shot is exactly where I want it. So there's nothing else to mess around with right now for this comparison. It's just, let's try again. Okay, get the scale ready and do another 18 grams. Okay, I went a little bit over. Okay, scale is reading right at 18. Let's see what we get from the niche this time. You know, guys, for drinking straight shots, normally I would be doing a lighter roast, maybe a medium, maybe even a medium to light, because I really enjoy a bit more acidity. Obviously, with the darker roast, you're not gonna get a lot of that. And the flavors are more classic, like your traditional classic Italian roast profile, where you get some of that dark chocolate, caramel kind of flavors. For mixing in milk drinks, that is my preference. I really like the darker roast, like not really, really dark, but something like this. For me, that's perfect for mixing with milk. But again, for just drinking the straight shots, these are wonderful as well. This is fine. But my preference usually is to go with something a little bit lighter that gives me some of that brightness and acidity and kind of like those other kind of tasting notes. And you guys know that for pour overs, then for sure I like a lighter roast. I never make pour overs with this dark of a roast coffee. So, all right, let's go ahead and grind these 18 grams and see what we get from the niche. Yeah, I heard a couple of beans going, but I think they went through. I think we got everything. Let's see. Okay, what is it reading? 17.9. So 17.9, we lost a 0.1. You guys know how I do it. A 0.1, 0.2, I don't even worry about it. If we have 0.3 or more, more than 0.3 is kind of rare, but it does happen now and then. But even on a 0.3, I'll go ahead and use the little plunger. Oh, something to report on that. Iceman, I'm not sure if you're gonna see this video, but if you happen to watch this one, this weekend, okay, I did have a chance to try the little plunger again for the retention that I had once or twice. And by doing what you recommended and not to go crazy with this thing, going ham on the plunger, okay, nice and soft little pulsating movements, it did not make a mess. So you were 100% correct. I was doing it wrong. It was just doing the plunger. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, let me show you. All right, this thing, okay? So if you use this like bellows on your niche, everyone says that this is what you should use to, like bellows to kind of get a little bit of retention out. This absolutely works. But if you, like, when I was, first couple times I used it, I had no clue what I was doing. So I'm pushing this thing like really hard and it made a mess, like dust came out everywhere. So Iceman told me, hey, just some nice little control, plunging and you'll be fine. And absolutely that works. It took care of the retention and it didn't make a mess. So I was just doing it wrong. But again, hey, I never claim to be an expert on anything. I'm trying to learn from you guys just as much as some of you guys trying to learn from me. I consider a lot of you guys watching me like experts. I'm just some dude trying to figure it out. Okay, so let's get this out of the way and do our puck prep. Now, being that with these needles, I can do just go ahead and declump in here. I go ahead and do it because, how long did that take? I'm done. A couple seconds. And you already moved everything around. You have like no clumps, it's nice and fluffy. Now when I turn it over and go into the portafilter, then everything is already declumped. Now, if you put these tools in somebody's hands that has, more experience and a higher level of expertise than me, okay, maybe they do a great job with the thin needles, and then it's a totally different game. But for your average consumer, somebody like me, somebody that, you're a hobbyist and you like to tinker with all these things, so far I haven't noticed any difference whatsoever, but we'll see. Okay, so we're ready for our next shot. Let me dry this up. Okay, you see, everything, it's a matter of practice and getting good at stuff. This time, I didn't get the coffee coming all up there. So with some practice, this is something that maybe I can master and not have, it comes out nicer and flatter every time. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, the dosing funnel, keep things tidy. And now we do distribution with the thick needles. Yes, with the thin needles, it feels better doing this. It just, they glide smoother, you know, they glide smoother through the coffee. But at the end of the day, I'm not seeing any difference as far as shot quality. And again, the thing is that these things cost like 14 bucks. You know, this one's, I think this one's $44, and you don't even get a holder. Come on, Pesado. All right. Again, on this one though, I think if you break the needles, you're kind of done. But I mean, why would you break these needles? I don't even know. But if it happened, I think you're pretty much done with this one. It has the system for you to change them out, and they do sell them. Besides this one, I mean, this one's beautiful. At least to me, you know, beauty's always in the eye of the beholder. And what I find something being pretty, somebody else says it's hideous. Who knows? It's always like that. That's the way it always is, you know? All right. So let's go ahead and do some tamping. All right. Again, with this one, it's just so easy for me. It's just always kind of like just falls into place. I always check it, but it's always fine. Okay, my puck screen is ready to go. Again, this is just to keep things tidy. You know, it just helps for the grounds not to go up on your coffee, on your espresso machine's shower screen. Okay, we had a little bit of a splash of coffee when I dropped it in there. Okay, all right, this is pretty good. Let's try again. All right, we're locked and loaded. Let me bring you guys in closer. All right, we're all set. We got all the angles going again. Let me get the Kaya in there. Start it again. Get the espresso glass in there, our shot glass in there. All right, and we're set and ready to go with our next shot. Let's see if there's any noticeable difference between the needles. If I can't see anything today, I think I'm calling this, like, for now, just, you know, I can see a difference. If you guys have both sets, you have like a fancy set with the thin needles and one of the cheaper kind of sets, and you notice a difference, or a big difference, let me know. But after today, I think I'm calling it unless some drastic happens here. All right. Again, let's hope I do a better ramp up than last time. I'm still trying to get the hang of ramping up slowly. With the Slayer shots, it was so easy for me, and just got so good at it so quick. All right, I did a better job this time. And we got to 9 bars. Okay, so we're looking again for 45 grams in maybe 35 seconds. That's what the other one ended up being. Okay, we went a little over. I think this shot pulled a little bit faster. I'll look at the timing, you know, on the video for the other one, but I think this one pulled a little bit faster, and from my perspective, it pulled better than the other one. So who knows? Maybe the cheap needles, at least in my hands that are not so, you know, not an expert, maybe the cheap ones are better. I don't know. I am noticing like a few spots here. So we might have had a tiny little, maybe this was exactly the same. We'll see once I look back at the video, I'll be able to tell. Maybe it ended up being exactly the same, just like before. So if you guys have been able to find a difference between the thinner needles and the thicker needles, I don't know, reach out, let me know. Let's get to the other counter, have some of this coffee, and wrap things up. All right, so we got our 2 shots. This is the first one that we pull. Again, I found it to be perfectly smooth, no bitterness. Of course, these coffees are not gonna give you a lot of acidity, brightness, and a lot of those other little nuanced kind of tasting notes that lighter roasts will give you. But here you get your traditional kind of like dark chocolate caramel kind of flavors. This is wonderful to mix with milk. It just mixes extremely well. The shot is still perfectly warm. I had it on top of the machine and it stayed warm. Perfectly fine. Here's the other one, the thick needles. Okay, first impressions tasted exactly the same. Give me a second and we'll try again. All right, I just wanted to get a little bit of water to rinse my palate in between the shots. But I can't say that I noticed any difference at all. Let's try again. Thin needles. Okay. All right, the thicker needles. Too close to call. Too close to call. They're very, very, they're almost exactly the same. Yep, they're, you know, to me, they're almost identical. Too close to call. I couldn't see any visual from my angle, from my perspective. I couldn't see any difference as far as the extraction. Maybe you guys noticed something. If you did, let me know, comment below. What's your experience with like the thicker needles and the thinner needles and all that kind of stuff? Definitely WDT works. There's no doubt about it. You know, we always talked about the little spinning tool, the leveling kind of distributor, okay? Eventually, maybe I'll get one for my setup. I have one on for the Breville, and you know, I always said that I don't think this does much, if anything at all. So, but definitely WDT. If you're doing WDT, I don't even think you need to do the whole spinning thing. Just go ahead, do your WDT. If you have a leveling tool, then use it after the WDT and then tamp. If not, I think you're perfectly okay with just WDT and tamping. But again, you put the same tools in an expert's hands and maybe you'll be able to notice some difference. And again, we're always looking for those really tiny small gains, right? Anyway, guys, thank you for spending the time with me here today. I look forward to our next meetup, and thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys a whole bunch. I hope that you guys join me here with something tasty. I will be back next Sunday morning with another video, hopefully keep you guys company for a little while. Again, the interaction between us is what makes it worth it. For me, there's no point in like filming myself making coffee every weekend, but I don't mind. The brewing sessions are gonna happen regardless. Okay, this is something I was doing before the videos, and it's something that I would be doing even if I wasn't doing the videos. So the brewing session is gonna happen anyway. The fact that I set up the cameras and stuff and film that doesn't make hardly any difference to me. You know, setting it up is not a big deal. It doesn't make that much difference to me setting it up or not. Now, the one thing that I do have to say that is kind of a little bit of a pain is the editing. The editing, when I'm working on like a creative project and I'm doing some of those, you know, like cinematic kind of clips, or maybe I went on a trip and I'm including some other stuff from the trip at the end of the video, like I do sometimes. So, you know, by the way, guys, if you're new to the channel, always be on the lookout for the end of my videos where I include some little clips and stuff of, you know, bonus, what I like to call bonus clips. So yeah, maybe you guys have been enjoying some of those. But you know, moving forward, this channel is just a coffee channel. That's all this is gonna be. And if I ever want to do something else for my creative outlet. I will create a new channel for that purpose. I'll let you guys know as well. But you know, I don't see me doing that right now. It's just not, you know, there's no time left. I'm a regular guy. I have to go to work. You know, I need time for editing the videos. Maybe if one day we make it to the 1,000 subscribers, maybe we'll be able to do some lives. But you know, I still want to do my regular edited videos that are more intricate. We're pulling multiple shots, we're doing different things. And I don't think I want to do that live. It is just gonna be like way too long. So the live videos will be more simple, just like one shot, or you know, we'll do a pour over and chit chat a little bit live so I can interact with you guys on the spot live. These edited videos, you guys know that I answer every single one of you guys. So if you leave me a comment, I will get back to you. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. I hope I was able to keep you company for a little while here. I hope you had something tasty here with me. Leave me a comment below. The engagement between us is really what makes it worth it. And I'll see you guys next week. New Forest Explorer. New Forest Explorer. New Forest Explorer. What did I do on my phone?